evening, everyone. My name is Eddie Tavares, and I will be your host. I am here with Team Roso of Remax Vantage. Tonight, we have our team leader, Ron Oliveira. We have realtors, Dave Morrow, Lindsay Rebello, DJ Gagney, Sandra Almeida, and John Wheeler. Team Roso is one of the top real estate teams in the Remax family and area. We finished last year with $68 million in sales. Just this past December, we did $12 million in sales, finishing the year strong. Last year, we helped over 300 families find a place to call home. The reason why you're here tonight is for our show, and we'll be taking place here on New Bedford Guide on a bi-weekly basis. Our goal is to be bringing you valuable information concerning real estate and giving frequent market updates. Here at Team Roso, there's always an agent on duty. Our topic for this evening, how COVID-19 has affected the real estate market for you. And our first question to our team leader, Ron, during this pandemic, what has been the most surprising part of the real estate market for you?
The most surprising part, good evening, everybody. The most surprising part is that people are still looking for housing. There's still a high demand for housing in the midst of the pandemic. Rents keep increasing, so people still want to have home ownership. And we have to try and provide it in the safest way possible to get them into these properties. But still a huge demand. The shortage of inventory has created a lot of hustle and bustle out there. But people still want to buy a home, and it's our job to get them in.
Awesome. All right. Now, Sandy, what has COVID changed the most for you as an agent?
Changed the most for me as an agent. I think just having to set up the appointments with multifamilies, trying to get in. It's been more difficult. People don't want you in their homes. They're scared of COVID, so that's been more difficult for me as an agent, is getting the appointments.
What about you, Lindsay?
I agree with Sandy. The structure has completely changed. So now everyone's a little bit more cautious. For example, some people require you to put booties on. Everyone is sanitizing everything. Everyone is just a little bit more mindful of staying in their space, in their own time, creating appointments. And so that whole mindset has changed, and I think it's become safer. And we probably will take a lot of that after even the pandemic is over with us in the industry. I think that's a benefit to all of us.
Yeah, I agree. So a lot of these adjustments, I definitely think that they will be carrying over to the future. Now, Wheeler, how has the pandemic affected the inventory on the market? What have you seen?
Sorry, I was muted. The inventory is still fairly low. It's been low when I started back in last November when I got my license and joined the team. It was increasing a little bit, and then as soon as COVID hit, everybody put on halt. They wanted to wait to see what was going to happen, and a couple months later on, it definitely, people started being more interested in going back into the homes. And as Sandy and Lindsay said, people were more cautious, not letting people into their homes. So things definitely have changed. Inventory has stayed low. And right now, I don't know if it's going to be changing. Hopefully it does. Hopefully people are more interested in putting their homes on the market because right now the prices of homes are pretty high.
Pretty high. Okay. DJ, what do you think about the way inventory has been affected on the market? Unmute.
I think the main thing that the pandemic has shown, just COVID in general, is everyone thought we were in a balloon of a market and that it wasn't going to last. And I think that COVID has really shown that we're not in a balloon, that this is real and that this is going to be lasting. And it's going to take multiple years to gain the inventory for the buyers that couldn't buy just this year. Normally there's about 4 million homes on the market. This year there was about 1.2 million. So roughly you have 3 million people that were not able to buy a home. And every year there's more people pre-qualified, more people that are trying to downsize, new first-time home buyers. So it's going to take a while to catch up. So I think it showed that we're not in a bubble that's not real and that this market is going to sustain.
Exactly. Ron, with your expertise in dealing with how, as many years as you've been involved in the real estate game, in your expertise, does this look similar to maybe the bubble of 2019 like we were talking about, or is this kind of, what feel does this give you? Does this pandemic give you on the inventory?
I felt that we were probably heading into a bubble probably in 2019. Prices were up there, interest rates were still on the higher side, and we were starting to see some defaults. But as COVID-19 came around and the government started getting more involved in delaying these foreclosures and postponing, deferring payments, it kind of pushed off the bubble that people thought that we were heading into. The government has kind of put a big Band-Aid on everything for us right now, and it's helping people out. So people don't have to worry about losing their home. People don't have to worry about being evicted right now. And those are normal things that you were seeing back in 2005. High rate of foreclosures, a high rate of evictions, a lot of turbulence in the banking industry. Right now, interest rates are the greatest that they've ever been. We're in the greatest market of all time. Prices are the highest they've ever been in history, especially here in Bristol and Plymouth County, the areas that we work in. I think we're going to keep seeing growth into this 2021.
Awesome. So that's good news for all of you new buyers, new sellers out there. You have a lot to look forward to in the market because, as Ron said, we have the lowest interest rates. So take advantage. All right. And at this moment, we would like to take a few moments just to thank two of our amazing sponsors. We want to send a huge thank you to Craig Snell of Milestone Mortgage Solutions and also Patrick Gubby Walsh of Walsh Title and Closing. If you are looking for the lowest interest rates and to get pre-approved at absolutely no cost, reach out to Craig. If you are looking for low closing costs and a fast closing turnaround, please reach out to Patrick. And as a team, we are truly thankful for what you all provide for us and the amazing work you do to take care of our clients. Here's to another hugely successful year working as a team to make the dream work. And now, number 4. Ron, in what ways has COVID had an effect on safety procedures?
Well, when this all started, we wouldn't have like an open house. You'd have 50 people coming in the door, everybody trucking through the house all at the same time. This has had a huge change on our procedures. Now open houses are done, in time slots, 10-minute intervals, one party at a time. Right when it all started back in March, everyone had to wear gloves and booties when the CDC was still trying to figure out how this virus was transmitted. So now when they come in, because skip tracing, we got to make everybody sign in. We make sure all the closet doors are open so nobody has to touch any of the doorknobs. We do a lot smaller parties. We don't have people waiting in these big lines for these open houses. We schedule it in 10 to 15-minute appointments. And we try to protect our clients, our home sellers. We make sure people are just walking through, they're not touching any of the property. Everybody's properly masked, and we're taking all their information for tracing purposes.
Awesome.
It's been a big game changer. And like Lindsay said, we're going to probably take some of these procedures into the future. We're going to keep maintaining some of these things because it's better for our sellers.
Awesome. And Sandy, what was the biggest changes in the safety procedures have you seen?
Same thing as Ron was saying with just opening up all the doors ahead of time, wiping them all down in between showings. We usually do about I usually get 4 people in there at a time, but turning on all the lights and then just wiping everything down. That's been.
And do you agree that we should be taking those procedures into the future as well?
Yes.
Do they make you feel safer as an agent to go into other people's homes and to perform your regular tasks?
Yes, it did.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Now, for Dave. Number 5, how has the pandemic affected the financial side of the process for buyers, sellers, and agents?
I would say, as far as buyers, not so much. I mean, there's tons of buyers out there. If I could think of anything, it would be along the lines of a buyer was maybe pre-qual before, and they got laid off due to COVID and furloughed for a few months, and then they went back to work. Now, if they're still looking for a home, let's say, the underwriters look for that gap. Now they have a gap in their employment, and the underwriters will look at that as a red flag almost. So now they almost have to start the process over again, or maybe get some sort of letter from their employer saying that they were laid off. That'd be it from the buyer side. As far as the seller, I would say, they don't want to let people in their home due to COVID. But in this market with no inventory, I mean, if you tell them they can get 40 to 50 grand over asking, I think they will sell. So that would be it on both sides.
Awesome. DJ, what have you seen on the agent side or maybe the seller side?
Personally, I've had 2 different sellers that we signed agreements and were ready to sell, and then they lost their job. So in turn, they were planning on selling their current property and then buying a bigger home or a single family from a multifamily, and from them losing their job or the gap in the history that Dave was talking about, they were unable to buy a property at that point. So it's very discouraging on the seller side also. And as Dave said, for the buyers that are pre-qual, they think they're good to go. It's a really good feeling, building your credit, putting in that work, and you feel accomplished when you get that pre-qual. And then, it puts a damper in you, and you start to lose hope. And I think lenders now are starting to give a little grace with that, knowing what the situation that's going on. And as long as you show the commitment from your job that they're taking you back and that it was just a short layoff. I've seen buyers get qualified again when it goes to underwriting and a few letters. And I think for agents, the prices are going up, and I don't think that there's more buyers than there normally has been. I just think that there's less inventory. So it appears to be more buyers because all the buyers are fighting over the same homes that are selling.
Awesome. Lindsay, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. So I think it's been obviously difficult for everybody involved in the process, but sellers who are trusting of us in order to sanitize and make sure their house is clean, they're really reaping kind of the benefits of this market. So if anybody, I would encourage, if anybody's on the fence, just thinking maybe we want to sell, we're not really sure, we're kind of nervous, let us show you how to do it. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised because there are a lot of buyers. And as CJ was mentioning, there may not necessarily be more than in a normal market, but there's a lot less inventory. So it seems as if it's a bottleneck effect and everybody is running to these few houses that are available. But I think we need more inventory to get all of that stimulated again so we can keep it moving forward.
Exactly. So if any of you sellers or potential sellers out there, if you hear that, this is not just a buyer's market. This is also a seller's market. So take heed and take advantage. Okay.
List with me.
List with all of us. Now we have the next question. This is for the expertise of Ron. Do you see the market adjusting once the pandemic is over?
Well, there's always an adjustment that's going to happen, whether it's now or, 2 years from now. I don't think that the bottom's going to fall out anytime soon. I think it's going to be a normal adjustment. Interest rates, everyone's on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. They're never going to have to worry about refinancing. They're always going to be able to make their payments. The government's doing a good job making sure that these properties are appraising properly, that people aren't getting in over their head with these properties. So I think it's going to be strong, steady growth. I think we're going to see this for the next few years, as long as I think there's different industries that are benefiting from this pandemic, and there's also a lot of industries that are struggling. So we're gonna have to see how that part of it shakes out, but I think we're gonna see steady growth and the market's gonna keep progressing.
Awesome. Sandy, you've also been in the real estate world for a while now, 17 years. Well, in your expertise, how do you see the pandemic? How do you see the market changing after the pandemic? I'm sorry.
That's a good question. I think it's going to stay the same for a while until we can figure out, like Ron said, what's going to happen with the small businesses. If things open back up again, I think it'll make a difference. So we just have to wait and see.
Okay, sounds good. And that is also good news for everybody out there that wants to get in the real estate world. The low rates and everything should kind of stay the same for a little while. So don't get scared. Ask one of the professionals, one of these experts to help you, and we'll be glad to help. All right. Now, at this moment, we'd like to take another break to thank a few more of our sponsors. A huge thank you to Chris Gallo of Summit Capital and Haley Oliveira from FB Insure. If anyone out there is looking to invest with a private lender, please contact Chris. If you are looking for insurance of any kind, please contact Haley. Again, as a team, we are truly thankful for what you all provide for us and the amazing work you do to take care of our clients. Here's to another hugely successful year working as a team to make the dream work. None of this would be possible without you. Now, Wheeler, what ways have you implemented technology into how you do your job as an agent?
I think one of the biggest ways, and a lot of people can agree, just as a bunch of different industries, is Zoom meetings. We meet regularly with just our team to do Zoom meetings. We can meet with clients and do Zoom meetings. We can do virtual tours for our clients so they don't have to physically go into a home. If they don't feel comfortable or if the seller doesn't feel comfortable, we can walk around and do a little Zoom type conference and walk around. And if they have any questions, we can show them exactly what is going on, what the different, anything that could go wrong in the home, if the water heater, looking at the new roof, we can do a bunch of different things with the new technology that we have been doing. Also, a big thing that people have been using more often as well is drones, which that is a big thing, which I think that's going to stick around. I think the Zoom is going to stick, Zoom meetings are going to stick around, or the virtual tours. It makes people a lot more comfortable. That way you don't have to have a bunch of people in the home all at once. It can just be you and the seller, or even just yourself. As the seller steps out for a few minutes, you can just walk around and do the tour that way and answer the questions right on the spot instead of doing a little video and then sending it to them. A lot of the technology has been helping us do our job. I mean, people have been doing even closings. They've been doing Zoom conferences. So this is going to be, I think it's a game changer for the foreseeable future. And I think that it's a great way for us to be able to get things done more efficiently.
Awesome. I agree with that. And to his point, Sandy, why don't you take a moment to tell the people who are a huge part of our team, who does the video, who does all the editing, who does a lot of things behind the scenes for us?
We do have an in-house video and photographer, Joel Cadero, so we do use them a lot. We've been doing a lot more videos due to the fact of COVID. I did have a listing at the beginning where she did not want anyone in the house, and we were able to sell the property just through video. So it does make a difference.
Yes, huge shout out to Joel Cordero Video and Photo. You do a great job. We are blessed to have you as part of the team. Now, Dave, since COVID-19 began, in what ways have you enhanced your exposure and how you reach new clients?
Due to COVID, pretty much the same. Nothing changed. The power of Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that be pretty much it. Speaking of technology, John Wheeler, you got an iPhone yet?
I'll never get an iPhone ever in my life.
Ironically,
Rain check.
Technology question with the old Boost phone, but cheers, my man.
I
Can I
still have
touch upon that point?
next
Yeah.
Nextel phone number too.
Yes, you can definitely touch upon that, Lindsay. Go ahead.
Okay, so obviously during quarantine, most of us were, at home for a certain amount of time. I think everyone had more screen time, whether or not they want to admit it. More people went on Twitter more often, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. If you look at how often people are now looking at their social media, even now, compared to last year, for example, it's crazy. So I think all of us, even in having more time on our hands, have really used those platforms to try and reach people, to get some kind of reaction and engage everyone while everybody was isolated to some extent. So we're really using those platforms, I think, to reach more people without actually touching them. If that makes sense.
100%. DJ, how do you feel? How have you been enhancing your exposure and how you reach new clients?
So I think a lot more of the videos, as they touched on, I think it's a little harder with COVID because as a real estate agent, people, you're not just buying a used car. People want to know the person. For 90% of people, it's the biggest purchase of their life, or they're selling their longtime home and it's going to be the biggest sale of their life. So they don't just want somebody who can quote unquote get the job done. They want somebody that they can relate to, somebody that they can trust in, and building that in-person rapport is very important. So the lack thereof from COVID, there's only so much that you can recollect with somebody through a Zoom meeting or through video chatting, whether it's FaceTime, whatever device you choose to use. But I think it's a good stepping stone when you get to Zoom meet with somebody, talk with them, see what their needs are, what their interests are. And I would say the biggest implement would probably be the same thing with the social media. I think a lot of people, as Lindsay said, are spending more time at their computer, at their desk, with the remote learning stuff going on, parents having to be home. There's less interacting in the workplace, a lot of jobs being shut down, less office time. So a lot of referrals that you would normally be getting from past clients that work in a dentist office with each other, that are talking to each other, or nurses, whatever clients it is that you have that could normally pass your card along. People are less likely to take your card. I'm less likely to offer my card in these times, just as people don't want to shake hands. So things like that, and trying to adapt and respect boundaries, and also trying to push yourself as the most valuable person that you can be in this market as being part of Team Roso at RE/MAX.
Awesome. So it's all about really finding that middle ground, that consistency and respecting people's boundaries. I would ask Ron to chime in on this, but this guy hasn't changed. He's up at 5 a.m. posting, getting himself out there, LinkedIn, Facebook, anything you name it. And he goes to sleep at 12 a.m. and he's still doing the same thing. So we're trying to follow that lead. All right. Now, the next question is for you, Ron. What effect has the pandemic had on evictions?
What effect hasn't it had on evictions?
Seriously.
Oh my, we could do like 3 more shows just on this. So it's affected a lot of things. Like, so we're in an old mill town. So New Bedford's our bread and butter. We sell more multifamilies than anybody else in the area. So try and show a multifamily in the middle of COVID. It's like beating your head against the wall, especially when this first started. Like, people aren't paying rent, so it's really not the best investment, right? Like, if you want to buy a 3-family and nobody's paying rent because they can't go to work, not because they're bad tenants. There's a lot of great tenants. There's a lot of really good people in our city. I've born and raised here my whole life, but there's a lot of good people here that just couldn't get to work, that their jobs shut down or getting shut down, and they just needed the help and they couldn't pay. So who wants to buy an investment property where people don't have the ability to pay, or potentially could be in a situation where they're not paying or unable to pay? So investments were kind of tough for a little while there. Showings were tough. People don't want groups of people in their house in the middle of this pandemic while we were still trying to figure it out, or if they had to quarantine. It's hard, especially a 6-family, 2 bedrooms each. You got all these people moving in, you got people coming in and out all the time. To try and create a safe environment to show these properties made it tough. And when the courts closed down, a lot of times prior, like if you had a bad tenant, you can go in and ask the housing court to help you out. Housing court was closed for 6 months. You couldn't get any help or any reprieve. So you had to grin and bear it. You had to get creative. You had to try working with people. And it's a process. We're still doing it today. As people are getting sick and they're quarantining, if that's the day we have the fire alarm scheduled, guess what? We're not getting in. We got to reschedule. If that's the day the appraiser is supposed to go there, guess what? We're not going in. And for, I would say, like 9 months, we had a percentage of people that just wouldn't cooperate with us. And we couldn't do it. That made it very tough to sell a house. The fire department even waived smoke certificates because they didn't want to go in, and then we couldn't force people to go in, and the housing court couldn't help us. So it made it really tough. I would say probably for the first 4 months, through the summertime, from when this first took off till the end of summer, and then people started kind of warming up to this. Is already starting to be like a normal part of life these days, wearing masks, dealing with people quarantining, respecting people's boundaries. But it made it hard, especially when you had a difficult situation and you couldn't get people into the housing court, and you couldn't obligate people to see things your way or the owner's way to let you in. So our hands were tied for a little while. But we, based on our experience, we were able to make a lot of bad situations into good situations for people, make it a positive situation, getting all the parties to work together and just kind of get through the sale.
Okay, so it seems like it's been very tough on the homeowners to find that middle ground of finding tenants that are willing to work with you and to come up with a system that can kind of lessen the losses, because it seems like a lot of people have taken some losses, but hopefully when this is over, things rebound and all that stuff gets rectified and things get smooth over. So now for the last question, we have Lindsay. What advice would you give new buyers, sellers on how to deal with the market as we continue to maneuver through the pandemic?
So I think that this point can carry over in any market, in any situation. And the biggest thing that I always tell, not even customers, just people I'm speaking with and people I've just met, trust your professional. Stick to one realtor and they will lead you in the right direction. So if your realtor has experience, if they sell many millions a year, trust their expertise. So I had someone call me today, a referral, doesn't know me, out of the clear blue sky, but it was a referral from a really good customer. We had a great transaction, great experience. I'm sending them to our preferred lender at Milestone Mortgage, Craig Snell. They will work with Pat Walsh. They work with all of our professionals because we lead them in the right direction. And this is a well-oiled machine at this point. So that's why Team Roso, we do what we do well, because we have each other. We have the support system. We have the experience and the knowledge. The most important thing, listen to your realtor, trust your professionals. You have plenty of questions. Sometimes it gets a little bumpy along the way, but trust the person that you've worked with at this point, and we'll get you to where you need to be. So I think that's the most important thing, especially now where there's things kind of up in the air and people do have a lot of questions and they're a little bit more nervous than normal. Let us handle it for you.
Yes, keywords, trust and professionals, okay? John Whaler, what would you want to add on to that, since you've just hit your 1 year mark, so you've had some good experience? What would you want to add on to that?
I think that she touched upon everything really well. We put together a great system here for Team Roso out of Remax Vantage. We have a great team. We've just been adding a bunch of great members that all are key components to making this work. AJ, you're a great addition. Look at what we're doing right now, is making videos that we never probably thought of doing until now. And it's a great thing that we've been doing. Remax Vantage is a great brokerage. I'm super happy to be part of the family. We are pretty much like a family. We have great members that we can help each other and make sure that deals get done quickly and efficiently with less stress for our clients, for the sellers and the buyers. And we just want to make sure that everybody has a great closing, and we try our best to make sure that it goes as smooth as possible.
Awesome. And I'm glad to be here. So thank you for that, John. And before we get out of here, I just wanted to give you guys a little background on the experts and professionals that we have here tonight. So Ron Oliveira, who is our team leader, Team Roso, he's been in the game for 25 years. So this guy knows everything. If you have any questions, do not hesitate. Lindsay Rebello, she has been in the game for 3 years. Okay, she does a great job. She's almost at $10 million in sales every year. If you have any questions, reach out to her. We have Dave Morrow, who's been in the game for 2 years. The guy sells houses. He posts beautiful pictures. He has a great social media presence. If you have any questions, please reach out to him. We have Sandra Almeida, who has been in the game for a while. She's been in the game for 17 years, sold with Sandy. She has a great online presence. She's always willing to put herself out there to get that exposure. If you have any questions, please reach out to her. We have John Whaler, who's been in the game for 1 year, and he finished up strong. He got over that $1 million mark. He's always out there. He's constantly posting. He is a valuable asset. He's willing to work. He's willing to help. Whatever you need, please reach out to him. We have DJ Gary Gagney, who's been in the game for about 6 months, but he's killing it. This guy came from a construction and a fishing background. He's a great talker. He's a great expert, and he knows his stuff, and he's willing to put himself out there and do whatever, whenever anybody needs it. So yes, please reach out to these people. These are the experts, and we are Team Roso. And as you guys can see, we are very happy for all of you that have tuned in tonight. We are Team Roso from RE/MAX Vantage. We are experts in this game. If you have any questions to invest, if you want to buy, sell, new construction, we'd be more than happy to help you. So do not hesitate. Reach out to us, and we will be here on the next show probably in a week or two. We will post it. We will put it on Facebook. We will let everybody know. We'll have an event page, and we're here to stay, guys. So look forward to getting this information from us, and we'll be happy to help you and help continue to serve our community. Thank you.
Great job, AJ.
Stay positive, test negative.
Sir.